right, living environment fans from across the globe, welcome to the Bellringer Show. Of course, it's Wednesday, which means today is, oh yeah, book talk. Almost forgot about your book talk. That would have been terrible. Yeah, we were reading Stiff by Mary Roach, and we're on chapter 4. And of course, there's an interesting chapter about like using bodies to test for accidents and things like that. It's pretty good. And anyway, and of course, we're gonna continue to talk about talk about Gregor Mendel. Charles Darwin will come in April with Gregor Mendel, and and we're gonna review the face game. All right. Hey now. Mr. Kovacs class. It's Mr. Kovacs class. You might learn a ton. It's Mr. Kovacs class.
It's interesting too.
It's Mr. Kovacs class.
And he's super cool.
It's Mr. Kovacs class. So yesterday we played the face game. Had to do with these cards, right? And when we started the game, there were just 3 different colors, 3 different flavors, if you will. We call it different flavors of a gene. Allele, an allele. There are 3 different alleles, right? They came in the pinkish one, blue one, and the yellow one. 3 different alleles. And each of these had instructions for what to do with your face. If you recall, this guy was the tongue out. This guy was the fish face. Yellow allele, that was for crazy psycho face. But there were some rules about it, right? Like tongue out always showed up, right? Sunlight always showed up. Fish face always shows up. But the crazy psycho face only showed up if there was 2 yellows, right? And that means we call tongue out, it's a dominant allele because it shows up every time. It's expressed every time it shows up. Fish face is a dominant allele. It shows up every time. It's expressed every time it shows up. The crazy psycho face is what we call recessive allele. It doesn't show up all the time. It only shows up if you get 2 of them. If you're what we called yesterday homozygous. Homozygous. Right? So we call the yellow, it's called the recessive allele. And the only way it shows up is if you're a homozygous recessive. That is, you inherited from each parent a yellow allele, crazy psycho face, right? So then there's all kinds of things like we can figure out. Like, let's say we had 2 parents. There's mom, she's tongue out, right? And there's dad, he's fish face, right? And they're gonna have children. Well, what kind of children can they have? They can have a bunch of different combinations, right? Because they're each gonna give 1 gene to their offspring. Mom can either give the tongue out or the crazy psycho face. Dad can either give the fish face or the crazy psycho face. So look at the different kids they could have. If they each gave the dominant gene, they could have a baby that is fish face tongue out. If mom gave her dominant one and dad gave his recessive, baby would look just like mom. It would be tongue out. If mom gave her recessive and dad gave his dominant, the baby would look just like dad. The baby would look tongue out fish face. But if they both gave the recessive, the baby would look nothing like mom or dad. They'd have a crazy psycho baby. Yeah, in fact, they have a 1 out of 4 chance of having a crazy psycho baby. Would you take that chance? You understand a face game. You understand that cards represent genes and the different color cards represent alleles. And if you have 2 of the same color card, you are what we call homozygous. If you have 2 different color cards, you are what we call heterozygous. And some of the colors are dominant alleles. Some of the colors are recessive alleles. And you only have to show me what your face is if I said the word phenotype. Phenotype is a word that means like, what do your genes make you look like? Right, so some great vocabulary we got yesterday. We got homozygous, heterozygous, dominant, recessive, phenotype. alleles, like 6 new words we got into our vocabulary just by playing the face game. All right, today we'll continue talking more about Mendel and the face game and the rules and making predictions with Punnett squares.